I focused on the off-duty XO of the Piccolo, a rickety, Saturn-based gas harvester on its last legs. Earther John Barnes was enjoying his time off by fleecing the Darien lowers for cheap drinks while he gambled away his paycheck. He sat between two members of the ship's security crew at a card table in the sunken credit. I knew him well after spending the last 2 years working maintenance on that very same ship. He had a tendency to pick fights with his ringer subordinates just for the sake of it, and his bulging muscles meant he always won. He gave even Earthers a bad name. Not an easy task. He was my mark. A pretty server placed a tray of drinks down for them. Their 4th round. She winced as John grabbed her arm before she could hurry away. I slid my stool a tad closer so I could hear what he said to her over the din of the sunken credit. Mostly the desperate voices of old worn-down ringers at slot machines and tables who'd been trying and failing to catch a break every day since they were unfortunate enough to have been born in the Darien lowers. Noisy clusters of thick pipes ran along the rocky ceiling as well, feeding the water purification plant on the other side of its rocky walls. "Hey, you mind telling your ringer bosses to turn up the heat?" John barked. "Of course," the server replied. He cut her off, instead wrapping his arm all the way around her waist and pulling her close to the table. A full transparent bodysuit and sanitary mask kept her safe from direct contact, but she wore nothing underneath, just her skinny, malnourished figure. "And I thought I said to bring it neat," he blustered. "I said that, right, boys?" His 2 smirking mates nodded. "That's how I heard it," one remarked. "If we wanted ice rocks, we'd go outside." "That's right. Now how about you take your skinny ringer ass back there and fetch us another?" He handed her the tray, but first took his drink and chugged half. He slammed it down, his earther strength causing her to scramble to keep the tray level as she hurried away. She slipped right between me and an old ringer who'd long since passed out with his face on the bar. I struggled not to glance over at her. The transparent plastic outfit the bosses made every server wear to help garner more tips for the house sure wasn't doing her any favors when it came to lecherous earthers like John. "I don't know why we still let those mud stompers in here," the bartender remarked. "They tip well," the server replied. I caught a glimpse of the parts of her face not covered by a sanitary mask, expecting to see signs of tears after she'd endured a barrage of insults over the course of the night. Instead, she appeared relatively unfazed. A real pro. "Well, if you want a break, just let me know." She shook her head. "Just refill them. Neat." The bartender poured more liquor for the earthers, then reached into each glass and scooped out the ice with his gloved fingers. "That ought to do it. And I'll be sure to turn down the temperature, too. Freeze their fat backs to the inside of their coats." "Thanks, Jeff." The server's mask lifted from a smile, then she picked up the tray and sauntered back toward the table full of goons. "You having another?" the bartender asked me. I was too busy peering at John's table to hear him at first. "Drayton?" I looked up at him, then down. Ice inside rattled against the sides of the empty glass in my hand. I nodded and flashed him my ID to transfer some of the last few credits I had to my name. The transparent card bore no information but for a data chip linked to the Provenio database. Words and images were too easy to falsify. The charge went through, then purple synthahol lifted the perfect spheres of frozen water as the bartender filled my glass. People didn't bother selling the good stuff in the Darien lowers since barely any ringer could afford it. But water, Titan had plenty of.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.